I don't sound very prepared.
When I sat on that role as a community member, it was one Wednesday a quarter. And it was from like 9 to noon. Is that, oh, I think we lost Marie. So we'll have to see if she comes back in. But yes, it's through the curriculum director, so.
She's coming back in.
And Tina Ray, as I'm looking on the calendar, that sounds right, once a quarter.
Once a quarter on Wednesdays from like 9 to noon here at the district office.
If it's
So-
with this, we'll meet from 8 to 11 now.
Is that what it is? Yeah. Okay, and it was a 3-hour morning meeting, so.
Site council's usually on Wednesdays too, isn't it?
Well, that's the other,
They run kind of opposite of each other when they're scheduled.
Wednesdays are my hard day at work. I could probably do one Wednesday a quarter, because I can plan on it. I don't know, I worry. That's my hang up is Wednesday is my least flexible day.
At work, for sure. During the week.
Marie possibly do it the fall and then you look at it again.
Marie, would you be interested in holding that position through, or both of those positions through the end of your term? You're muted, Marie, so if you've replied, we haven't heard you.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. Did you hear our
I would-
question?
Yes, I would be happy to, and if that's better for Jamie, but, you know, I'll do whatever's best for the board.
I'm just thinking that both of the ones we're gonna talk about now and the next one on the agenda are both Wednesdays, and I don't know. Wednesdays are my hardest day to get out of work, and so I could probably do one of them. But I definitely couldn't take them both on, because that's gonna be a lot, so I don't know if one is more important that I started on. I can't remember how often district site council meets, if that's once a quarter.
Monthly.
Same.
It's not monthly,
No.
they alternate,
They
right?
alternate. They're both quarter.
Yeah,
Do they meet during the day or evening?
They both meet from 8 to 11 on Wednesday.
on a Wednesday. Yeah, they're morning.
Well, if, no, I'm not trying to pressure Marie, but if she were to stay in those roles, then that would allow time for board members to be elected or potentially reelected. And another board member who's not in attendance tonight to be back at the table. And it might just provide us a little bit of time to seek someone else to help with those. What I don't want, Jamie, is for you to feel like they fall on your shoulders.
Right,
Those are board responsibilities.
It would also give me time to potentially block out the meetings on my work schedule as well. For at least one of them. I don't think I can do both. That probably wouldn't be ideal, but that would give me some time to make arrangements too, at least Marie, if you would be willing.
I would be happy to do that.
I move that Marie Blythe serve as the Professional Staff Development Council Board Representative through the end of her term on the board.
A second.
Been moved and seconded that Marie serve as the USD 417 Professional Staff Development Council Board Representative through the end of her term. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye,
Thank you, Marie.
you're welcome.
Go ahead.
She said it all.
Okay. Again, the next item is the election of the USD 417 Board of Ed District Site Council Representative. I move that Marie Blythe serve in this position through the end of her term on the board.
Second.
Been moved and seconded by Billy, Jim. That Marie Blythe serve as the District Site Council Board Representative through the end of her term. Any further discussion? Not-
Peter, I don't know if it's discussion, but I just wanted to tell Marie, thank you for being willing to finish that out on our behalf.
Absolutely.
well.
All in favor, please say aye or raise your right hand.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. The next item is our patron forum. And we didn't have anyone address or request to address the board at this time. So we'll move on to our food service presentation with Becky Chair.
But
Hi, long time no see.
I know, I was just here. Hang on just a second. I don't know, cause I'll probably,
Okay.
those go together at some point, but yeah, hang on, I'll get there. So first of all, thank you for having me. I would like to talk about summer food and the numbers that we had. So I don't know why, but when I put the stuff in the claim, they don't count adult meals, and I think a meal is a meal. So I counted them. And so we averaged for our 5 weeks, well, 5.5 weeks, 402 lunches per day, district wide, and we averaged 388 breakfasts per day, district wide. I actually went back to last year and I saw where there was 200 per day for breakfast district wide, and there was 270 per day for lunch district wide. So we had quite a jump. I know we were a hopping. We learned a couple things through all that. The tortilla ham thing is a no-go. Don't do that. Takes longer to make them, and they came out bad. It was, I don't know, I thought they tasted pretty good, but they were a mess to get out of that bag. So, we will not be doing that again. I
And the
promise.
children are rejoicing.
Yeah, it's why, but I will tell you that, bless my, but, you know, sometimes I just am not right. Anyway, but I really felt like overall summer food went really well. So that was a pilot program to do the whole rural urban situation. And so, and I reached out to my consultant and I was like, are other schools seeing this much? Like all these people just keep coming? And she said that Concordia was really hit hard that first week. And I was like, okay, so I am really confident that next year we will be the same way. So I'm hoping to still do the weekend meals and all of that. You guys will have, I wanted to mention that, this year coming up, I did get a grant through the state for local meats. And so basically what I'm wanting to do is to find us a rancher or farmer or multiple ones and have them donate a steer or a heifer or something to an allowable processor, which I think the last time I saw it in May, it was Alta Vista or Harrington we could go to. And then it is actually an allowable food service fund cost for me to pay for the processing and the meat. So I've got a little bit of money to just get it started, but then it'll just keep coming out of our food service fund. Like right now, we already use fresh beef and things, but this will be local, Morris County. I also, we also do pulled pork, but that comes to us like ready. And it's really good, but I actually think it'd be kind of cool to do the same thing with pigs. And we can get some of those if we could find anyone. I'll work with Taylor Green and we'll figure out how to get us some people here. So that was the next thing that I thought was really cool. You guys will have in front of you at some point tonight, discussion about universal free breakfast and my meal prices and the, updated meal policy. I went, for the meal prices, I did go up 5 cents, but there is a cap of 10 cents, so I can't go any higher. Which I would not do that. That's not fair to anyone. The universal free breakfast, however, we did this last year and we had all free breakfast for all the students at USD 417. And we did really well with that. I actually went and I was looking at numbers and we actually served between 275 to 290 kids per day in the district. And back when they weren't free, we were only serving between 130 to 140 per day in the district. So really, and that's quite a few years ago, like before COVID. However, we did have more kids here though. So we're still looking good. So if you guys would say yes to that, I would love it. Yeah, the meal prices, of course, that'll come up. So, all right, so the policy board, this policy that's gonna come in front of you, it's kind of a, yes, it's a policy, but it's not been updated since I moved here and things, and, I need it to change because, right now it says 5 meals. And that is really hard because if you could go like breakfast, lunch, alternate meal. But I want it to say 5 days because then it doesn't matter if you have breakfast or lunch, they just get 5 days. So that I would really like added. I also included on there, the alternate meal. I didn't include what it will be. I just included that there will be an alternate meal. And we will make it as close to a 50-cent alternate meal as we possibly can.
Can I clarify what you're talking about here? I don't think we actually have that written out.
It's in the back in the action items.
As the policy,
Oh, okay.
it's under O2. Yeah,
Yeah.
when we get to that point.
So after 5 days and they are behind on their payments, they will receive an alternate meal
Yeah.
free.
Yes, yeah, where
Instead of
the
5 meals.
district's gonna absorb the free alternate meal. But it is not going to be anything impressive. I mean, it's like, it could be a peanut butter with bread, maybe some vegetables. I don't know, it could be whatever I come up with that day, but we're gonna try to get it as close to 50 cents because just that milk carton alone is 42 cents, my cost. So, we'll come up with something. And then, there's some other policy updates to that too, but, they're really minor in that. But I did want to just kind of show you guys, just how, I need to, it's kind of how severe this could possibly take. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Right.
So the people that are online know, she's gonna put the program up on the big screen. I'm gonna turn the computer and hopefully you'll be able to see what she's doing. And we'll go from there.
Becky's computer does not have the same program and we can't put it on another device, so. And with the OWL, we're hoping you all can see.
Let's see. Are you able to see the big screen?
We're not able to see any detail, but I mean, she can do the best she can.
Well, are you gonna do
I
that
will
one
hear
first?
after I talk about that
Okay.
one.
Okay.
All right,
So we have a thing with our new point of service called Family Portal, which is just fabulous. So right now, even our staff isn't even able to see what their balances are. And this way, like, I am staff and I have kids here, so I'm able to actually be a family within my own family here. It's not, the deposit is not ready yet, but I was informed it should be ready by the time, school starts. So, what I wanted to show you though is like, this will give parents, more control, which is what my situation over there needs. So you can actually make it to where I can say, like, I don't want my child having snack foods. I want my child to only be able to buy a la carte with cash, daily spending limits. And then so a parent could do that and, it'll come through on my end. Now, I mean, if you're gonna do it at like 11, it's a good chance it won't come through that day because we've got to keep our stuff going. But if you do it at like the night before, it should update and things. So that was one thing. This actually will show the history. So like I made a lunch today and then I voided it. It will actually go even so far as to say like what they're actually having, like, oh, wow, your child eats a lot of chips because that's what they're eating every single day. It actually breaks it all the way down, which we've never had that. And then of course the notifications. So if you were to click the do not send email, well, I guess when you are if you click that, then and you don't know that your child needs lunch money, then I mean that's kind of on you. But this is going to be a email situation. It's not going to be that alert where it calls and texts and all of that. It's just going to be an email. And the parents, when they sign up for this, they actually have to, the email that they pick, that they choose matches the one we have in Power School. So they're actually like, this isn't going to be an email that they aren't aware that they have. So they should be checking this one. And then of course, I can transfer money to either one of my kids and things, or they can transfer it to me. So with that being said, I wanted to kind of just really, just make sure, I don't know where to go.
Right here.
Okay. I wanted to make sure that people really did understand. Do you want that?
What's that?
Do you want that in
Yeah.
here? Okay. Hang on just a second. So I wanted people to really understand that, like, they really are not, like, the system's really not hitting. So like, I have Abby set up to where she's gonna go in the hole, and, so that's as far as I can go. Like it's not because of my staff, it's because she doesn't have enough money to go any further. So, there's that, and I mean, that's an actual reimbursable meal. So then, hang on, for me to get out of here, I gotta, right, so then, so let's say, Colton, this is what I thought was kind of cool. So Colton Elson, he really likes, to eat, let's see, yeah. He really likes to eat stuff, but he, his mom says, no, you only get a spending limit. So it doesn't matter to me, like, if he gets I prefer he gets the meal, of course, but if you were to go and pick, this would say, like, he had a $3 one. Well, I put in 4, so I can only go so far. So if you were to pick that, you would need to make sure you're including the lunch and breakfast prices, or at least lunch, because breakfast is free. So, and then it makes you go back and choose which one you aren't wanting. And then,
So Becky, just to make sure, if you're putting in a limit, you need to make sure you're adding the cost
Yes.
of the meal plus however much extra
Yes.
you want them to be able
and
to.
I will be sending out stuff with the parents.
Okay.
With this, I just haven't gotten quite that far.
Some bad kids.
But, oh yeah, well, this one's not so bad. So you got Bradley, who just cannot. He just seems to be like, he needs to learn a life lesson. Okay, and so Jay put on there that he can only get stuff with cash. It automatically says collect 75 cents. So we can't go any further until he gives us that. We can't override that, any of that stuff.
Trying to keep
Let me run and get my dad.
Right? Yeah. I think I'm trying to keep a lot of kids in Jay's office. But then you've got Mason Wilkins, and his dad's just like, nope, he gets to have the main and nothing else. So I can't even pick. It doesn't even give me the option. So, so there's just so many different, there's so many wonderful things on here. I actually have, on my end, I can send out the no balance emails, the no deposit requests, the no checks at register. So basically, like if there was somebody, like let's say that you are gluten but you're a well-managed gluten kid. I can set it to where it won't check them and be like, oh, this kid's allergic to gluten. I can set it that way because the child knows what they're doing, so we don't have to keep on doing that. But otherwise, as I get more stuff figured out on this, I will keep the parents in the loop and, send stuff, but I really just wanted you guys to really see that with this policy that you're going to hopefully say yes to, my life's gonna be better. So I'm okay with it. So anyway, there's that.
Thank you, young lady.
Do you guys have any questions? This was really all I had.
Becky, I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to reorient you, and I know I've shared this to you already and to the, not to the board, but it wasn't so long ago that you stood in front of us worried that the summer lunch program might not be a success. And if there's one thing I heard from our community over and over and over this summer, it was about the convenience of the meals and how important the meals were. And so I know you're going to say it was your staff, and it was your staff, but none of this would have happened without your leadership. So when I look at these numbers and think that 402 lunches went out per day, and the size of our communities, that's very impressive, and we thank you.
Thank you so much. That's very, very nice. Thank you.
Parents, it was amazing, and you guys did phenomenal.
I am shocked we got it all fit in that fridge. If you want to know the truth, I was just taking pictures of that stuff just because I was like, I've never seen it so full. Please don't break today. Anyway,
I saw some of those vehicles that you guys, when you were packing the vans and stuff.
that
and
first was the longest.
It was awesome, awesome. So Becky, thank you very much. Will you be able to hang around for a little bit if we've got questions?
Sure.
Okay,
Jim, there's something in chat. I don't know if that's a question or if it's, I think that's just a generic. This one. There we go.
hey, the next item on our agenda is item J, which is review and approval of the monthly bills. And that was sent out this afternoon. So if you don't have the 100-page agenda, but you have the 76-page agenda, then the total dollar amount is actually on the amended agenda page. And that is $843,246.37.
Madam President, I move that we pay our monthly bills in the amount of $843,246.37.
There's a second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the monthly bills in the amount of $843,246.37. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Raise your right hand.
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item is approval of the consent agenda, which is listed as Exhibit A and includes 18 items. The consent agenda includes approved minutes of the previous meetings, June 5th, the regular meeting, July 19th, the special meeting, July 20th, the special meeting, and June 28th, the special meeting. The financial reports, donations and gifts, approval of the 2023-2024 Council Grove Junior Senior High School Staff Handbook, and approval of the 2023-2024 Classified Staff Handbook, approval of the USD 417 Food Service Procurement Plan for Student Nutrition Programs, reimbursement of moving expenses for Superintendent Nancy Meyer for the amount of $2,061.24. Setting the mileage reimbursement rate for privately owned vehicles at 65.5 cents in accordance with KSA 75-3203A and effective the 1st of July, 2023. And then the following resolutions. Resolution of the 1,116-hour school term. Resolution to establish activity funds. Resolution to establish board meeting dates. Resolution to utilize the gap waiver. Resolution for the home rule authority. Resolution for the petty cash fund. Resolution for the date for the election of officers. Resolution to rescind previous policy. Personnel under employment. Kyla Craig, Council Grove Elementary School aide, replacing Jamie Van Wallenberg. Chris Del Forge, Prairie Heights Elementary School principal, replaces Valerie Gear. Valerie Gurman, Council Grove Elementary School kitchen staff, replaces Mindy Unruh. Danny Sisson, student support specialist with a waiver, replaces Christy Godley. Daisy Seward, Prairie Heights Elementary School aide, after school program director, replaces Raina Pollock. Ashley McCall, assistant high school volleyball coach, replaces Emily Rencher. Jamie Van Valkenburg, Council Grove Elementary School custodian, replaces Jim Southers. Avery Lee, Council Grove Elementary School custodian, replaces Don Platt. Tuff Medina, Council Grove Junior Senior High School custodian, replaces Nathan Dykeman. And resignations, Tori McDougall as the USD 417 technology coordinator, and Jamie Von Valkenburg as the Council Grove Elementary School aide. Are there any things that you would like to see added or removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Madam President, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
It's been moved by Jamie, seconded by Billy, that we approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor, please raise your right hand or say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda are the administrative reports. Mr. Dornbos? Okay. Mrs. Reddick? Mrs. Meyer?
Well, I don't know a lot after just a few days, but I do want to thank you all. My husband and I are enjoying the community. We're very impressed with it. Everyone here has been very helpful and accommodating. As school starts in August, I look forward to meeting and visiting with our staff members and giving them the support they need to educate our students. We are avid sports fans. We plan to attend many activities. I'll try to sit away from the referees so I don't yell too loud. I have an open door policy, and I welcome the public and our district community to visit as the opportunity arises. I'm a strong believer in the chain of command, so don't be afraid to call when you need an explanation or have a question or have a concern. I'll be glad to find out any information you need. Stay focused, stay consistent, stay positive, and keep moving forward.
Fantastic. Thank you, and welcome again. I'm
Thank
glad
you.
you're here.
Yeah.
Glad you're here. The next item on the agenda is M, board member items. The first thing that I have is I have a thank you note that I'm gonna pass around. The second thing that I want to remind everyone is enrollment is open. It's available online. Please use the PowerSchool portal. And if you have questions, we do have staff available to help with that. And then specifically to the board, we just approved a whole bunch of resolutions. So those people that are sitting in the room, I'll need signatures from everybody tonight before you leave. And to the two of you that are online, I'll need you to get with our clerk in order to get those signed as soon as possible. Since Kelsey's not here, Kelsey won't be signing those this evening. So any other board members that have items, comments, or discussion?
Just a reminder, I think there's a few board members that have signed, maybe they're done, but have signed up for the superintendent tool, learning about the superintendent tool. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So that's a great segue right into our business items and reports item N. The first thing is the superintendent webinar, July 25th. That's at noon for registered board members, and KESB will send out a notification on that just prior. The second item is the KESB annual conference registration, opened last week. Conference is November 10th through 12th in Wichita. So please let Mrs. Meyer or Jim know if you plan to attend. That's a great opportunity, learning opportunity for everyone. And our third item for business items and reports is the Flint Hills League update, Mr. Dornbos.
Yeah, so just what we actually had quite a bit of stuff happen probably since we last talked about. I know I sent you guys emails in the spring. So we went through the process. Well, Bunsey requested, so I'm going to give kind of several things here because we have several different issues. Well, Bunsey requested membership into the Flint Hills League. We held a meeting that they were invited to where we asked questions. And I'll say that Council Grove, we had quite a few questions because one of the things that Matt and I in the back of our mind is always that as we add smaller schools, where do we fit as a member in the Flint Hills League? And we went into it with our stance was we wanted to know a couple things like, do they plan to continue to play 11-man football? Do they plan to play us in every sport? Because in the past, there have been sports where when they've come to scheduling meetings, they wouldn't play us because of our size. But there were just several questions like that. They answered all of our questions. They assured us that they would play us in all sports. They said that their intent is to stay 11-man, and they felt that they could for the next several cycles. Our other concern going into it was we would not vote yes to accept them if that would cause another school in the league to leave the league. We feel really good about the collaboration with the teams that are in our league. There was one league school that was concerned with it was Central Heights, and that was a big concern for us because a similar sized school. At the time, Central Heights said that their plan was to stay in the league, and so we voted yes and it was a unanimous vote. So Bunsey will join the league for the 2024-25 season. They will be allowed to compete in league tournaments that like quasi team sports. It could be cross country, it could be wrestling, it could be golf. They would not be allowed to win a team title, but in sports that it would allow for more participation in the tournament, we will allow that.
I'm sorry, did you say 24-25?
Yeah, 24-20. So they can join some of those quasi team events this year. They will be a full member the following year. And the basis of that is because this is the last year of a 2-year cycle of contracts. So we work on 2-year contracts, except for a tournament would be a 1-year contract. So we'll finish out this year's cycle of contracts. Matt and I, along with the league, will start on scheduling for the next year, starting in August, rebuilding all of our schedules. We had a meeting in June. We didn't see this one coming. But at the end of the meeting, Central Heights notified us that their board had a change of direction. And Central Heights will be leaving the league after this upcoming school year. They're gonna join the Three Rivers League, which that is, it's a lot of schools we don't see a lot, but it's like Arma, Northeast, Buffalo, Altoona, Southeast Cherokee, Tatopa, Colony Crest, Jayhawk Lynn's a school that we see in some of our smaller sports. It goes all the way down to Uniontown, Yates Center. So it's an expansive area. And I'll just tell you that it's concerning for us. We are fully vested in being a member of the Flint Hills League, and we want to see it continue to succeed. But that was a hard one for us as a school to take. I know some of our patrons, it's a long drive. It's a long drive relative to the rest of our league. It's not when you look at what a lot of schools take on travel wise, but this is what we fully intend to continue as a member of the Flint Hills League, but it is concerning as we lose schools our size and lose another 11-man football. And it's not all about football, but scheduling for football, especially at the middle school level. We're not getting league opponents for the middle school, and now we're having to go out and find. We played a couple of the Topeka middle schools a couple of years ago. Luckily, we made kind of a partnership with another league where we pick up Remington and schools like that this year. But we hated to see Central Heights go. They've been great members of the league. Their administration are wonderful to work with. In fact, we've already talked about trying to keep some scheduling going with Central Heights to try to ease that burden in some sports. So that's kind of the league membership update. Another big one that's kind of drug on for a couple of months here is many league schools are, we have had to would have been in the last school year, so not this former 2022-23. So the school year before, we made a concerted effort to raise all of our prices that we pay officials. With the state having a shortage of officials, we had to stay competitive so that we weren't left trying to schedule, let's say on a Friday night, having to have a JV and a high school football game just so we get officials, or having to schedule our basketball games on Saturday. We compete to get officials with all the Topeka area schools, Manhattan, Emporia. It's becoming tougher and tougher. So we raised our prices to be competitive, and so far that's worked. We still struggle like all leagues, mainly in your sub-varsity volleyball, baseball, softball are tough. But the increase has been beneficial, but some of our schools in our league are having a hard time now. Their gate fees are not always covering the cost of all of your officials and your workers. So multiple schools proposed different increases to admission prices. The last proposal was a $5 flat rate, which means kids and adults all pay $5. A lot of leagues are going to $7. We as an administrative team, Matt and I, took the stance that we are opposed to any increase to admission for our patrons. And luckily that didn't pass. Not that it won't come back up again this year. There was a $5 increase to the family cap. So that did pass. We've tried as a league to cap it. So if you have a family of 10, you're not paying for all 10 kids. We cap it. You're not going to pay more than $20 as a family coming into events. Sometimes the families get creative on it, but the other thing we'll say is if we had a family of a participant ever come to us and say they couldn't afford to come to the game, we get them into the game. So we're not going to let money be the reason that a parent can't be in an activity. So that one, I'll tell you the other thing that has come up with the league is charging for baseball and softball games as well as track meets. And we are adamantly opposed to that. And we've actually told the league we will not, especially at our baseball and softball, we would lose money in trying to have workers at each entrance to try to take tickets. We do it for if we host a baseball or softball regional, but we end up putting up fencing and trying to direct traffic. So we as a school are opposed to that and said we will not. We could see that cost happen at a league track meet eventually if that passes. So, the other thing I thought I would update you on, that's kind of all the, well, one more thing on the league stuff. We have discussed, Matt and I, and we'll probably move to this, not allowing children 6th grade and under to enter our games without a parent. That is what a lot of league schools, we've struggled with this. We have an amazing facility. We have that practice field in the back. But as we talked about this last year, monitoring kids has become a problem. We want them to have fun at the games and experience all those things that a lot of us did throwing a football around. And it's helpful when parents are there, but we're gonna move to what a lot of the league schools are doing and say that you have to be with a parent. Unless you're a student in our building, so 7th grade up, could attend by themselves, but 6th grade and down, we're gonna ask that a parent or an adult be there for them to enter the game. Any questions about league updates? I wanted to give you a quick update as I was doing that. I serve on the Acacia Board of Directors, and so there's some major things that are going to affect us this year, and one that we're gonna talk about, we're gonna need to come back to on. We have 2 meetings every school year, unless they're, COVID year, there were a lot of meetings. But some of the things that in the spring came up, I know I've had a lot of questions about the multiplier for private schools, which would, the multiplier, the system for determining a private school's classification. The multiplier looks at, the size of the school, but it has a success factor in it. It has, there's several different factors. Those are kind of the big ones. It passed through through Acacia. It went to the legislature. So Acacia, the one thing that is law that really hinders them is there is a state law that says they will classify schools based on enrollment. So for them to change how we classify private schools, it has to be a law that's passed. It died in committee, so it did not even get to the floor to have a vote on it. It sounds to me like they will continue to bring this up because it's really, it's always right up every year, but in the last 4 or 5 years, it's been a big one. Another one that passed the legislature, so it's not something Acacia passed, but we now will deal with it as a schools. There's the Fairness in Women's Sports Act was passed, which deals with the biological identity at birth. So in Kansas, now you can only compete based on your biological identity at birth. The Acacia physicals now have, when it asks you for your gender identity, it's asking for it. It specifically says that birth on there. So Acacia had some guidance on it, but now the state legislature has passed a law on that. The other things just some major things, jamborees and all team sports are now allowed. So you can have a volleyball jamboree, you can have a basketball jamboree, but you cannot have a jamboree in like quasi team sports. So those things like you couldn't have a cross country jamboree or a wrestling jamboree or a golf jamboree, even though they keep team scores in those things. And in a sport like wrestling, you compete as a team on duels, that you cannot have a jamboree for those sports, just the true defined team sports. So we are currently, I think Mr. Fox has got us scheduled with a jamboree, but I don't want to say where yet until I'm 100% sure on that yet. So we will continue to host the football jamboree that we do every year, but we will now be in the volleyball jamboree. And then the other big thing that came out was they've approved for the sport of baseball. It's not practices, but they'll get a certain period of time starting in January, and it's only for pitchers and catchers so that they can work on arm care for pitchers to build up arm strength to prevent injuries. So you can't have your whole infield taken, infield balls. You can't have a practice. You can't do anything. You can't hit. You can have a catcher and a pitcher and work on arm care. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Dornbus?
Saying that the pitchers and catchers can work with a coach.
With a coach, that's the big thing. We've always had pitchers and catchers work with volunteers from the community. Now your actual coaches will be there. The one last one I forgot to tell you is we will be coming back to you. We have a Zoom with Acacia on Wednesday. legislation. It's about homeschool students being able to participate with public schools. There's gonna be some changes. We didn't have enough information. We felt comfortable to come to you yet, but we should be getting more information on Wednesday. The one thing that has remained in place is a homeschool student, which they could compete now, if the school approved it, you can only compete in your home district. So if you live in another district, but you want your kid to compete for Council Grove, that's not possible as a homeschool student. You have to participate for your home school. I shouldn't say homeschool, but your home district.
And I'll clarify the homeschool. The homeschool child still has to be taking as many credits as their high school is offering, and they have to pass the eligibility of CASHA. So if CASHA is still passing 5 classes to be eligible, that homeschool student has to be in a registered
That's key.
curriculum with the state in order to be considered.
And with that eligibility, because it's kind of a nightmare for us to try to, as just an individual school, try to monitor what's going on in all these different homeschool programs. CASHA's, the way we understand it, is setting up an eligibility system to where those students would be registered in the eligibility system with CASHA. So that would help us out greatly. The other thing is that you'll have some options as a board to look at that we think, like right now, before this legislation passed, requiring a student to possibly be in at least one class brick and mortar in your building. So we're hoping for some more clarity on that on Wednesday, and then we'll come back to you. And because there are some decisions that individual boards have to make on what they allow. But I will tell you that we've had some inquiries already from homeschool students.
Great. Any other questions for Mr. Dornbos? Just want to give everybody online enough time to see if there's anything. Okay. Hearing none, we'll move into our action items. Our first action item is the RFP 2024-02, remove and replace the windows at Council Grove Elementary School and Council Grove Junior Senior High School. Ben Moore was unable to attend.
Ben was not able to attend, but I have all of the notes, if that's okay.
Sure.
So, we were given $294,538. So the total price for all of the windows came in at $755,499.09. So of course, obviously, we're way over. However, I spoke to Ben, and one of his recommendations was there is a $281,000 bid for the north window elevation at the high school. And his recommendation was to take that, and then what he will do, because we have to split that between the elementary and the high school, is he will do a change order with the company who got the bid, which is BHS Construction, who did the elementary school security entrance. So they're very familiar with us. They'll do a change order to ensure that equal amounts of money are spent. And they will do that based on those set items, that $281,000. And then, of course, last month we approved Ben for $12,000 to run that project. So it's gonna come in at just under $294,000. So we'll meet that grant. And BHS is willing to provide us with an invoice before the end of the month so that we can get it into the state and get reimbursed for those windows.
And that would be because the grant has a deadline of June or July.
July 31st.
Right, no, he already told me,
Yes.
we have to pay that by then, yeah.
Yeah. So what we're seeking this evening is the proposal that we accept the bid in the amount of $281,270.59 for the Council Grove Junior Senior High School North Elevation windows, with Ben Moore completing a change order request to ensure proper expenditure of funds at Council Grove Elementary School and Council Grove Junior Senior High School.
Correct.
Plus paying Ben his,
Yes. And but that was already done last month, so
Okay.
we're already good there.
Okay.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Terry, seconded by Billy, that we accept the bid of $281,270.59 for the Council Grove Junior Senior High School north elevation windows, with Ben Moore completing a change order request to ensure proper expenditures of funds at Council Grove Elementary School and Council Grove Junior Senior High School. Is there any further discussion?
Can I ask a question just for clarification?
Yes.
Because I'm hearing the different numbers. What windows specifically will be replaced? Because I know we had a list and then we shortened that list and I walked around with the.
So he has,
crew.
Jay, what they have is he has a list.
And it may be just that list that you're talking about, is the list that we had and walked around with.
It is, so what'll end up happening, like at the elementary school, there was one project that came in at 123,000, and then there were like 4 other windows that would get them to the cap. Over here, there were, and I can send it to you, I sent it out in the board packet. There were like 3 separate areas.
Right.
That equaled like $140,000, something like that, and I can send that to you so you know which ones they are.
If you did, and it may be exactly what we walked around with. I
Okay.
heard 700,000 and then down to that, I didn't know.
Yeah, well, and that 700,000 was the total, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and that tells you that, I mean, the price of windows just for your north elevation, almost 300,000 by itself. But they have it broken out, how they're gonna do it, and they have the description, so I'll send that to you.
And there were a few stipulations in that grant too, as far as like which windows they're choosing, like it's all about that ventilation as far as that
And-
grant goes.
And
with
he followed
the
that,
children and-
yes, he
Yeah.
followed that. He had everything and got it, so, I wish he was here.
So if we are paying this early, when is completion expected?
Completion is 400 days. That's where they're at right now. And it's not because of the construction, it's because of the windows.
It's
Because the windows will have,
the backlog.
because of the shape of, because of the shape of the windows they have to do, and that's another reason for the cost. These are not standard windows, all the windows will have to be made. And Ben made the comment, I think, that he said it was pretty higher cost because of that. For a lot of them.
So a year and a half.
The other thing with it is, all the windows in the 1918, when you put them in, at one point during the renovation after the fire, I think it was in the 1980s, they put drop ceilings in. So you can't just put the windows in, you have to actually take part of the drop ceiling out, put the window in, and then there's construction, right? We ran into that on a door, Noble Miller's room this summer.
Wow.
There's nothing easy about that portion of the building.
1918 building strikes again. All
I'm
right.
sure there's no treasures above that ceiling.
Found a few.
74-year-old.
So it's been moved and seconded that we accept the bid. All in favor, please raise your right hand or say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, now the reason that we asked Becky to stay is because we are now to the policy update EE on the food service management piece.
Definitely.
This is where the wording changes from 5 meals to the proposed verbiage changes to the policy. Number 1, students may charge no more than 5 days worth of meals to this account. 2, students who have charged the maximum allowance to this account and cannot pay out of pocket for a meal will be provided an alternate meal. And 3, at least one notification shall be provided to the student and his or her parent or guardian prior to denying meals for exceeding the district's charge limit.
As long as you get things. I'll be fine. Everything rotates. Everything.
Do we need to read out the proposed changes, or can we just say that those changes as presented?
You can do that presented.
Okay. Madam President, I move that we approve the proposed verbiage changes to the policy EE and food service management.
there a second? Billy? Been moved and seconded that we approve the proposed verbiage changes to policy EE for food service management. Is there any further discussion?
I got a question.
Yes.
So I'm thinking from a community standpoint now. Is there an opportunity here for a fund to be started to help cover some of these things from the community?
Didn't include that, did I? We have them.
Okay,
We have them. I utilize them at all three schools.
okay. So how would somebody go about putting some money into that fund to help with that?
So what they do is they either contact me or they just contact an office and then they'll contact me. But I'll tell you, there's probably other places to put money for a little while.
Okay.
So, I mean, we went through 2 years of free meal. So, and people were still giving me money during that time. So,
Okay.
but yeah, we do have funds.
Well, here's what I would ask. If that starts to get lean,
Mhm.
would you please let the community know that?
Yeah,
Because I think that's a real place that people are willing to help.
yeah, sure.
Thank you.
And I think we need to let parents and guardians know that there's no shame in asking for that. They can let an administrator, a counselor, the nurse, anyone know, and they can be put in contact with you to take care of that. So.
Sure, yeah, I kind
That's
of,
very,
I monitor them, and so like, I monitor the kids, and if I see them there quite a lot, and I'm like, wow, like, what's going on, then I start feeding into them with that fund.
great. Can we vote on that one?
Haven't voted,
Okay,
even discussing.
discussion. I thought that's,
Yeah.
food service has enough on here. I wanted to make sure we're where we need to be. So, all right. All in favor of the proposed changes to policy EE, please raise your hand, right hand, or say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, the next item is the food service pricing for 2023-2024.
And so our state limit is 10 cents. And Becky felt that last year with our carryover, that 5 cents would be sufficient. So this is a pretty good price for our kids.
So we'd continue to provide universal free breakfast. And then lunch pricing for pre-K through 6th grade would be $3.20. And 7th grade through 12th grade would be $3.30. And again, that doesn't include a la carte or, yeah. So, and a reminder to everyone, there is an application online with enrollment for free and reduced lunches. Regardless of whether or not you personally think you qualified, fill that form out. So it's very important to our district that we get those forms filled out.
I'd like to mention that you'd be amazed how many times I see them and they're filled out wrong, so I make a phone call and shocking, they make it. So, yes.
By September 20th.
We have all that stuff in play. Behind the scenes, we have that in play. Don't you worry about that.
I'm the nervous
That-
one on the 19th.
I'll tell you what, that is my Super Bowl. I love that.
So I'm seeking a motion to approve the following prices as discussed for the 2023-2024 school year.
Madam President, I move that we approve the food service pricing for the 2023-24 school year. As
Awesome.
proposed.
Thank you. I'll second that. Been moved and seconded that we approve the 2023-2024 food service prices. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand or say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Becky, thank you for being here this
Yes,
evening.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you guys too. Gosh, I did a lot of Have a fun night.
Thanks. Mr. Dornbus, we're up on the proposed parking passes at the Council Grove Junior Senior High School.
I emailed you this, but I thought I'd bring a copy also.
Thank you. And it is online in the packet. Okay.
We've talked about this, Matt and I for a while. I've actually, pondered this before, becoming the principal, but we feel like it's probably time to move to a system of using parking permits, during the school day. We use a canine unit, Providence Canine Unit out of, Oklahoma. They come and they do all of our drug dog searches. That's one of the factors is, they've been encouraging it for, quite a while, just to help identify the vehicles. I can stop if you, okay, go ahead.
You guys want any questions?
Go ahead.
Ben Moore just walked into the room, so if anyone has any questions regarding the grant or where we are, I think Mr. Dornbos had some questions for you regarding the
Okay.
which set of windows at the high school.
Okay.
So if you just want to talk through the process a little bit, we did already approve the motion, but
Okay,
if you
sorry, I
want,
had to change my wife's tire.
that's okay.
I want to stay married.
Appreciate that.
No, you guys do have some options in how we do this, you know, with the proceeding and following the grant. We'll have to accept the bid as it was proposed and do 2 change orders so that we get the correct amounts allocated with that. And one of the things that doesn't fit with the grant exactly is to do a side exactly as it is. So we'll be short a little bit. And that was one thing I wanted to talk you through. We don't have to make that decision today at all, but I think it would end up being 294 on the contractor's end if we had every window on those facades made. And like 2 or 3 wouldn't be installed, and maybe that could be done as a capital outlay type of thing, install the last few windows. But to me, that made some, you know, I try to take the common sense approach with that way that whole side of the building is done, at least, or the second floor on the high school.
What are you looking at cost per window then if we need to come up with some capital outlay for the extra windows?
Well, we'll have to get that broken down, and the thing, right?
How about a guesstimate?
Usually it's about $7,000 a window. And I mean,
$7,000 a window.
it's crazy. I don't know how to say the cost with a straight face anymore. It's always painful right now. But, what I would recommend right now is, how you guys accepted it, that's perfect. And because of how long the process is gonna take to make the windows, at least get that going. That way we can have the second floor of the high school on the north side and, you know, not be like 3 windows up there and then we've got an old one. That's the only thing I was worried about. There is some contingency built into the contractor's numbers, you know, for that removal, and they looked at, hey, we gotta take some drywall out or mess with the drop ceiling here. And this is the same guys who did the elementary school when we did the secure entry project, so they worked with us really good at that time in terms of, hey, we've got a little extra here, let's, you know, make it work, that type of thing.
Well, I think I would suggest by the time that we get this figured out, the invoice and everything by the end of July, was then to have another bill on the windows, the extra windows that we need, so when we order them at the same time.
Sure.
So they'll be installed at the same
Yeah,
time.
and we could do it, one way to do it too, because there's a lot of labor in that 294 number. The 288 could cover the production side.
Okay.
And that way, you know, we're just messing with a small thing at the end of the day, if that makes sense.
Did that answer your question, Jane?
Well, my curiosity was, I know that when I walked around, a couple people on it, you know, we looked at the north side, top and bottom, we looked at the west side, and then we looked at some of the windows in the courtyard.
We couldn't fit all of those in to meet the number was the issue. And it might make sense if you've got time, maybe sometime before school starts to just walk through and point at the building and,
Okay.
and that might be easier. That way there's not any question, you know, what I said versus we can look at the pictures that we used in the documents to just say that these are the ones included. Would that?
Yeah, no, that'd be great if we could do that.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Any other questions for Ben while he's here? Thanks for cruising in.
Yeah.
I felt horrible, but I'm like.
We know how it goes. We know what that road looks like out there.
Life happens.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
Ben.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Garabas, thank you.
Like I was saying, we've thought for a long time that we need to do something with, parking permits, just from a security standpoint. Providence K-9 has suggested it for years. When we do our K-9 sweeps of the parking lots, one of the biggest hangups is being able to identify vehicles. And so this will make that easier. It also gives more confidentiality to students, which is important when we go through that process. And Providence is very big on that, trying to protect the students throughout the process. But also, as we've talked about, different security issues within the building, and, you know, God forbid if we had one of those major incidents, being able to identify which vehicles are supposed to be on campus and which vehicles aren't supposed to be there. That's a big process, and it's a lot easier if we have a list and say, okay, you can identify vehicles through this list. It also just gives us that daily security. We have staff that we have an aide that is in charge of behavior, that we have that staff member. He each day walks the outside of the campus, will walk the parking lots along with his duties inside. That person can be monitoring, hey, this vehicle should not be here. With this, you know, we know these vehicles should be here. So it's really a security thing. It's a security thing in lots of different aspects. So I could go on and on about that if you have questions.
So I have some comments. So, besides your teachers, will your teachers have a parking pass so you can, okay? So
So
we notify, so we can recognize the teachers' cars. What about, you know, people come visit the building. We have programs going on, we have visitors, we have mentors, we have other adults that pull in. How are you gonna handle them? I guess if they're a regular routine person that's there, that's an adult, that's not on staff, is what I think we're concerned about.
So I think the biggest thing, let me start with staff and students would all have permits. We would like the staff permit to be different than the student permit for a couple reasons that differentiate between the vehicles, but also with staff, we don't have to issue a new permit every year. With students, we would issue a new permit every year so that they can't be passed around and you can't get around the system with that. We have not thought about, do we need to have a permit for people that visit quite often? Honestly, with our mentors are once a month. We have to have those discussions. If people think that we need to, if it's important to have permits for those people, that's something we can look into. I don't know that we have other groups that are there that
Do you have
often.
visitor slots that are appointed visitors? We also talked about the Santa Fe Trail area that needed 4 or 5 slots that would be marked that students couldn't park in.
So most of our visitors, when it's an adult visitor, most of them park on the north side. We do have some visitor parking towards the west end. We don't, in fact, we went towards the end of the year when the swatting calls last year the schools were getting. We instructed our secretaries, the only people we let in the building on the south side, which becomes the main entrance after 3:15, but the only people we let in were students, because that's student parking. All other visitors are encouraged, and we try not to allow them to come in those places. They need to come in the north side where we have some visitor parking. One of the things that I did mention to Nancy was that we do get people that come to park in our parking lot that just want to access the Rails to Trails. We do get a few people for the Seth Hayes home every once in a while. That's not real regular. But I do think it wouldn't hurt for us to look at establishing some parking stalls with signage for the rails to trails right at the entrance to the bridge. That's not a heavy area for student parking, and it would give some access there, for people accessing. the
What
trail.
about cost?
So cost, I work with Rick Paul at Redbud Design, who does a lot of printing stuff for us. And cost, it depends on how much you want to order. And in talking to him again today, so if we were to just order, let's say 250, which 250, you're talking about all of your staff and your students. If we have 230 students at the high school this year, not all of them are going to drive, but when you take into account a kid losing one and having to replace one, we could get them for around $2.30 to $2.50 a piece. In talking to her today, though, that the smart thing to do would be if we wanted to buy 2 years worth at a time and the staff ones, we could get the price down to $1.10 to $1.40 in that range. So my proposal would be that we order what we talked about. We order maybe this year's in navy blue, and it would have the year on it, and it would have a number. Next year's would be gold. We just order two sets at once. And then order the staff ones as well, and order enough staff ones that we're not having to reorder, next year or the year after.
Okay.
So. Any other questions?
Trying to figure out, since I don't know what line item, what budget that comes out of. Does that come out of the high school budget, or does that come out of the district budget?
Typically, something like this would come out of the district budget, but we can look at where it could fit in the high
Okay.
school budget. Absolutely. We'll tell you the policy that's written there. I looked at Emporia High School's parking regulations. I looked at their student handbook. I also communicated with Rick Blosser, who's the principal at Nickerson High School, former teacher and coach here. They also use Providence K-9, and they started using permits because of the Providence K-9 as well. In the policy, the big things to know is we're requiring this from 8:10 to 3:15, because that's when it's mainly student parking. We know that after 3:15, you're gonna have lots of parents coming to, pick up from practices, pick up from events, be at events. So it really, to monitor it after 3:15 is not something that we would want to do. Students would be issued a parking permit at the beginning of each school year. And I would suggest as soon as we could get them in, we advertise to students that if you have completed enrollment, you can come by and you can pick up a parking permit. If not, we meet with each class the first day of school, and we would issue them at that time.
And on here, you don't have, if I lose my permit, what's it cost to get
So-
another one?
That's number 3, student vehicles failing to display a school issued permit. So I'm gonna include in there, if you lose it, you don't have it. You would be given a warning the first time, and given the chance if you wanna come buy one, or if you lost it and find it, but a warning the first time. The second time, you'd be issued a new permit for $2.50. And that would just be put on their power school charges that then can be, if the funds came out of the district office, that money can be then transferred over. And big one is to put in there as a clause for the transferring or selling of permits to another student or person will result in the loss of the permit and disciplinary action. That, as I talked to other principals, they said that's the big thing is if you're gonna have a policy, you have to enforce what happens if they don't follow the policy, and that was a big one. If I've got a permit, I just hand it to you, or somebody that's not even a student, you need to account for that.
But these won't be like assigned parking spots.
We would not assign parking spots. We
That's
used
where
to
the
assign
auction would come
parking.
into.
Right.
Yeah.
We used to assign parking spots a long time ago, and that led to more behavior issues that
Right.
didn't need to be dealt with. People have brought up, auctioning off parking spots. Some schools allow students to paint the parking spots. We have avoided that so far because of the behavior issues that come with that. There's some really positive things about that, but we've also heard a lot of stories from schools that that's not the way to go.
The students don't have to buy these.
That my proposal would be that we purchase them. They only have to buy it. They have to replace We had to buy them in school, I remember, so.
The other thing is they are the hanging permits. I didn't wanna, I started it out, I just didn't wanna get into the stickers that you gotta peel off and then that just kind of becomes a mess. So the other thing is, we have a lot of students that they may drive their vehicle today, but they may drive the farm truck the next day. They can just take it out of there and they can put it in the vehicle that they drive, as long as it's their vehicle that they're driving to school.
Mary Kay, did you have a question?
I don't know that it's a question more than it just sounds like it could be at some point a logistics nightmare. And so I was just gonna tell Jay that my hope would be if at some point this is more work than it's worth, that he'd just come back to the board and maybe we could try again a different way. So, I mean, my hope is that it works.
I hope that it works and most of the principals I've talked to said it's a good thing. But yeah, there's gonna be some issues in that first year putting something into place. Luckily, we're not an Emporia or Manhattan giving them to, 500 to 1,000 students. Hopefully that makes it a little easier. But yeah, there will be some bumps in the road with this.
Having a high school son, the first thing I thought of was how much can he sell it for? So I know what he'll be thinking.
Right. And those are issues that are real issues that the principals have brought up, you have to deal with. But if we can do anything to help make our campus safer, we'd like to at least try for a year and see how it works.
So the proposed action is in the parking regulations policy. Item number 11. All students parking on school property will be required to display a school issued parking permit on the rear view mirror of their vehicle. Students issued parking permits will be required between the hours of 8:10 and 3:15. Students will be issued a student parking permit at the beginning of each school year. Student vehicles failing to display a school issued permit will be given a warning for the first violation and will be charged a $2.50 fine for each following violation. And transferring or selling permits to another student or person will result in the loss of the permit and disciplinary action. Seeking a motion to approve the proposal as presented.
Madam President, I move that we approve the proposed changes to the parking pass policy at the Council Grove Junior Senior High School as presented.
Can I get a second, please? Jamie moved, Billy seconded. The proposed parking passes for the Council Grove Junior Senior High School as presented. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand or say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Dormouse. Good luck with that. I'm getting my kid's 250 ready right now. She's gonna be losing that. I already know. The next item is proposal to allow admission for immediate families of USD 417 employees, free entry to events with their staff badge. Mr. Dormouse, was that you again?
I have never made that proposal.
We kind of talked about it, weren't they paying?
So currently, staff badge gives the employee and their spouse into all activities,
But not their family.
but not their family. We, at one time it did, or I'm sorry, I need to back up here. I said that wrong. The decision was made last year. It used to get them and their spouse, no family. That was a decision that was made last year, that it was just spouse. Or I'm sorry, it was just the employee. I said that wrong a couple times. Last year, the decision was made with the increased cost, and that was a decision that was made at the district level, that just the employee. But we have not made any proposal to change that, so I don't know where that proposal.
So it's still just the
It's just the
employee.
employee. I'm sorry, I said it wrong the first time.
Okay. So I don't know, I think we encourage our employees to be family. And it's tough enough on the great amount of money that they make. And we'd be hypocrites if we didn't say, bring your family to our activities. We want you to show that you believe in family, just like we want our parents to do with their children. I think it's a positive thing for our teachers to know that I can bring my kids, I can bring my spouse, I can't say husband, wife, whatever, our spouse, and enjoy activities. They're watching all the kids. How do you want their children to grow up knowing that the community is coming to watch them and encourage them to be involved? So this would be the first school that I've been in as a superintendent that did not allow families to come in with the employee. I don't know what your league does.
Our league we have league passes that we get so many allotted to, but every school has so many different policies. I mean, there's people handing out all kinds of different types of passes. So it varies from school to school.
I would make the recommendation that you allow their staff badge to get their families in.
So the proposal is that all USD 417 staff and their immediate family be allowed free entry to USD 417 events by presenting their staff badge at the admission site. Is there a motion to approve that?
So moved.
In the second,
Second.
it's been moved by Terry, seconded by Jamie to allow all USD 417 staff and their immediate family free entry to USD 417 events. We want to clarify that's USD 417 events, so that's here locally, by presenting their staff badge at the admission site. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand or say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Great. The next item is that proposed, that we move from time clock plus to frontline for employee timekeeping, absence approval, and the substitute teacher notification system. Mrs. Meyer, would you like to talk about where we are with time clock plus?
Yes, Time Clock Plus does not keep good records, from what I understand. There's some difficulty getting in. And part of it's just not the classified staff clocking in and clocking out. It's also our teachers putting in leave, getting a substitute teacher, and making sure that the leave is accounted for. I have used Frontline, used to be ASOP. This would also help us find substitutes. And when I substitute taught in the Kansas City area, I had an app on my phone. It might ding at 3 a.m, somebody's baby's sick, and I had an opportunity to take that job. I think we just need to update what we're doing. People can clock in and clock out on their phone with an app. You can't, if you do it at home and say you're there at 8 o'clock, it says you're not at school. It actually tracks you. And the attendance of the teachers or employees, you know, as you go in and substitute, you sign in as a substitute teacher, who you're signing in for. And then if there's a conflict in, if the employee didn't get it recorded correctly, or was it personal leave, was it sick leave? This clears that up when they enter it immediately. So you just have another set of records to make sure that we're doing it. It does cost a little bit more than the current one, but it also does more.
And I think that's the request. We've had staff that are
Yes.
bogged down with
Yes.
time clock plus, the amount of time that it's taking them to be able
When-
to utilize the system. Or
When I met the administrators on the retreat in Manhattan, the very first thing they said to me, well, we need to change this, and automatically, they already knew about Frontline, and I think you used this before, is this correct?
Yeah.
We need to go back to it.
okay. I think that it's time saving not only for our staff, but there's a convenience factor that's associated there, so.
Well, and if it would help with getting substitutes.
Right, it does the call out and then everything as part of the process,
Yeah.
my understanding, so. I would move that USD 417 move from time clock plus to frontline for employee timekeeping, absence approval, and substitute teacher notification system. Can I please get a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to move from time clock plus to frontline. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand or say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you. Your staff will.
Rachel would like a phone call tonight. She would like to get that started.
I said, text me as soon as you can.
Yes, as soon as possible, so,
I'll leave it
okay,
for this one.
okay, thank you.
Oh.
Mr. Crosby, can you please note that
Yes, ma'am.
Harry has recused himself from the room? Thank you.
His wife are classified.
She is.
Okay.
The next item on the agenda is the 2023-2024 classified employee 3% cost of living wage approval. This is mine.
I understand, certified teachers received a 3% in your 2-year agreement. I recommend that your classified employees receive the same pay raise.
Any discussion regarding that? I think we talked about that. We think there's adequate opportunity in the budget to do
Yes,
this.
there
and-
is.
And it was essentially one of those things that we planned for in advance. So,
Madam President, I move
yes,
that we approve the 2023-24 classified employee 3% cost of living wage.
Second.
okay. Mary Kay moved, Marie seconded, that we approve the 2023-24 classified employee 3% cost of living wage approval. Any further discussion?
I did review with Bryce today some of our carryover from last year, and we are set to be able to cover this for next year. And we don't even, yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. That said, all in favor, please raise your right hand or say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Dana, can you yell at Terry, please? Thank you. Mr. Powell has rejoined us. The next item on the action item is number 8, notice of intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate. This by law is required as part of the state statute that we post this notification. And that we hold a public hearing on the district's proposed tax rate at 5:45 PM on September 11th, 2023. So this would be 15 minutes prior to the September meeting, as we've done in the past. This is, as it's been explained to us before, the revenue neutral rate that schools are at is at 20%, but the state statute reads 18 or 19. So schools automatically have to post this hearing because 20% is what's written in the state statute, that school request as part of their revenue neutral rate. So it's a double standard by the statute, but it's required. So we just need authorization to extend the revenue neutral rate with that hearing date.
Madam President, I move that we authorize the request to notify the county clerk of the district's intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate and hold a public hearing on the district's proposed tax rate at 5:45 PM on September 11th, 2023 at the USD 417 district office.
There's second.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Jamie, seconded by Billy. Requesting authorization to notify the county clerk of the district's intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate and hold a public hearing on the district's proposed tax rate at 5:45 PM on the September 11th, 2023 at the US 417 District Office. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand or say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item is the local option budget, which is often referred to as LOB percentage resolution. Mrs. Meyer.
I think you're wanting to go to 33%. I think the state statute might be 30, 31, and you have to have a resolution to go over that amount each year.
So the resolution reads, resolution, local option budget percentage, be it resolved that the above named school district board shall be authorized to make a local option percentage in the amount of 30%, 33% for the 2023-2024 school year. Can I please have a motion to approve the resolution as presented?
So moved.
And a second?
A second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the local option budget LOB percentage resolution as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand or say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we do have a request that we have a 5-minute bio break before we go into our executive session. So, there will be an executive session for personnel and there will be no action taken at this time. So thank you to everyone who came. And Jim, if we can have a 5-minute recess,
Absolutely.
that would be great. Thank you.
Sorry, guys.
I think we can get out of here before 8 o'clock.
Promise Mary Kay and Terry that we would make it out by 8.
Jan, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
So they're gonna go into executive session and then there will be no action after that, is what Tina Ray stated. Would you like to just leave or would you like to have me put you in the waiting room and then pull you out for adjournment?
No, I think I'll leave if that's okay.
Yep, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jan.
Yes.
Good job, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
You down here, do you need to go?
I'm there. I only drank half my coffee.
Been up to, Mr. Powell? Anything good?
No, not really. How about you?
I had a deer hit me the other night,
Uh-oh,
or normally there's 3, right? You're good? No.
there was a fourth.
Oh, a doe, 2 fawns, and then a buck, and I saw the buck right in my side window. Took my mirror, crashed my mirror out, and then
Your
when he
Jeep?
hit it, he swung around and his back end hit my door handle on the passenger side in the rear and pushed it in about that far
On your Jeep?
on my Jeep. Yeah, and just got done having it buffed out from all of the freaking peacocks jumping all over it. So, but that, we did a gender reveal for Bailey
I
yesterday.
saw some
Little
pictures.
boy,
I did get to do Rayburn's daughter's wedding a couple of weeks ago. That was kind of fun.
was that good?
Yeah. I didn't get him to cry, but
Should have.
I tried. That rehearsal, he walked down, it was outdoors, and so I had my back to a lake, and they walked down this hill. And just as he was getting close enough, he's like, "Where do I go?" And I threw my beanbag down. I said, "On the bag, buddy." He just rolled.
You should have been penalty flag. I think this year will be a pretty good year again.
It's gonna be crazy. Figuring out where we go.
Yeah.
But
emails are flying that people are dropping out and they're rescheduling it. Is what it is.
We gonna do varsity games on Thursday again?
I haven't, we had one and then they got pulled because they had somebody peel in, so it won't surprise me if we do.
Jim, do you have some of those resolutions we could start sending around?
Yes, ma'am. I do.
Then we can start signing all of that chaos. As my arm falls off.
Probably stamping or something.
Jim, I was gonna tell you, I'm on the road until Friday.
Okay.
I'll try to get there.
Just
as
for
soon as
any
I can.
chance.
Yeah,
So much better. I don't know, can we scan them in and then have her sign electronically?
Yeah.
I think whenever she comes, because she was involved in the meeting, whenever she comes, you get a signature.
Okay.
I don't think it has anything to do with,
Whether it's electronic or what.
right, and it'll be dated today, and it was voted on, she was here.
Yeah.
So just getting her signature. Now Kelsey's a whole different story, so,
Yeah.
but her and Marie can do it anytime.
well, I put it on my calendar to remind myself to stop by Friday.
I'll make sure I'm going.
What? Why do I believe that?
There'll be some place where you can get them. How's that?
All right. So the last item on our agenda is an executive session for personnel.
Madam President, I move we go into executive session to discuss an individual employee's performance pursuant to non-elected personnel exception under COMA, and the open meeting will resume in the boardroom in 15 minutes with Mrs. Meyer and the board, please.
There's second. Been moved by Jamie, seconded by Billy, that we go into an executive session for personnel to discuss an individual employee's performance pursuant to the non-elected personnel exemption under COMA for 15 minutes with the board and Mrs. Meyer. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand or say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Our time will start as soon as we stop recording and Jim steps out of the room. There's no further business to discuss. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Been moved by Terry, second by Billy. All in favor, please raise your right hand or say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you. See everyone August 14th.
Okay, Madam President, when